Hey everybody, hello, we're back Thursday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Once again it's the AquaStax hour with me, Long Steve, and my bot Tim, who is ready to greet anybody who joins the stream this afternoon and indeed follows me or rates me. So, trying to remember where I was last week. Doing this only once a week means that I kind of have a bit of a brain freeze the moment I fire up Slick Edit here, which is my IDE. And I have to remember where I got to. So, let's have a look. I was drawing a grid on the screen, that's right, and some triangles and a block, and I think I got the block moving around the screen using some keyboard presses. There we go, yes, there's some keyboard function being installed there. Let's load up the gulp task, which serves the project up. Actually, there'll probably be a few JS hint issues. Yeah, I'll leave those for now. What I'm going to do today is some refactoring and try and get myself a grid class that is sitting by itself and handles blocks falling into it, maybe even drawing the blocks and stacking them up as well. That way I can start doing game logic inside a game class that uses a grid under the covers, and a bunch of other stuff. Up till now I've been basically just writing, not throwaway code, but I've just been using my menu as a scratch pad, I should say. Let's just briefly remind myself what's going on with the app here.
Here's your flash briefing.
Aha! Newton 1, hi, good to see you. I'm not sure why, but my Amazon Echo has just decided to give me a flash briefing. I'm going to turn it off. I always forget to do, I should have a checklist of things that I do before I start a stream. In fact, I think I do, but I forgot to do it this time. Hang on, let's turn my phone on mute as well. Right. So last week I just got to the point of moving a block around the screen and drawing a grid. And this week I want to refactor things a bit, so I've got a class, a game class and a grid class. Hopefully I might get the block dropping down the screen, but actually I want to focus a bit more on the grid and see if I can get some grid elements drawn in the middle of it. I've also tweaked my chatbot this week, so he doesn't show up everyone's avatars whenever they join. If you have to go away and you have to come back again another day. But if you follow me, then you'll get your name splashed up in lights. Right, where was I? I was going to refactor some code. So I'm going to need a new class. In fact, I'm going to need a couple of them. I'm going to have game, I think, and grid. We'll start with game. So let's add a new file. Where do I want to put it? I think everything goes within the source folder. And I might as well create a grid while I'm at it. So my menu is currently pretty full. It's got some things, got enter full screen. I might just copy a bunch of the menu bits to use as my game first. Let's go down here and use this. Menu scene, games, restrict. So I'm going to call it game scene. And I'm going to have a game layer. Seems to be pretty much the standard way of creating classes and structuring things in Cocos2d. I'm going to want am I using menu panel? I think I'm using a game panel, aren't I? Oh, a screen panel, that's right. Anyway. Panels. So the game, I don't necessarily want to call it screen panel, I think. I'm going to call it game panel. So we've got a game layer. And then down the bottom, I need one of those. I'm going to want game panel. So the game panel is going to be the thing that handles key presses, because it's probably going to be where I put all of the logic for most of the actual game updating and things, handling key presses, all the other stuff. But it's going to have a lot of subclasses and child nodes that do the things like grid rendering and block dropping and other things. But for now, we're going to want grid and draw node in there as well, aren't we, actually? The draw node was what I was using to draw the block that was moving around. Grid and blocks. And the constructor function, that's right. So we're going to do some things. So this is a bunch of labels and stuff I was using a while back. Here's the thing that I think was defining my width and height, but I'm not necessarily going to do that anymore, because that was basically when I was modelling my old, or modelling it after my old portrait game. So let's see. Might as well borrow it for now. Screen panel. We don't need the gumbler just yet. That's going to be game panel. Don't need the gumbler there. I'll put these in here for now, but we're probably going to end up putting them in the grid class. So block size. And we add the game panel. Don't think I did that alone. Draw grid, screen panel. So we're adding the grid to it, then we've got draw nodes, various things going on. Schedule updates and keyboard handling. Let's leave that for a minute. Let's get rid of some of this stuff in here now. So we don't need this screen panel. I'm going to leave Gumbler there for now. A bit of code I might want to just remember in the future. Don't need this. Don't need that. So we've got grid. At the moment that's going to be a draw node, but let's copy this into game while we're at it. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it there. It's very difficult, this refactoring, when you come back to something just after a week of not looking at it. But this was my draw triangle business, wasn't it? Which I was using draw blocks. Who's coming up? Live coding TV support. Greetings. I'm still going to want the keyboard handling functions, aren't I? I turned you off, Alexa. Very strange. I had my other Amazon Echo crash on me this morning as well. Went totally nuts. Wouldn't do anything at all. So, resize callbacks. No, leave those in there for a minute. Cheers for the follow. Excellent. Thank you very much for doing that. Hopefully we'll get some fireworks. Let's see. We want the keyboard handling to definitely go in the game class, I think. And we want these functions for now. And an update. Yeah, let's do that. Might abstract the keyboard handling out somewhere else afterwards as well. Is it accurate? Yes, it actually runs CLOC, count lines of code, on the project as I type. If I hit save, run it again, it should tell you a different number. I'll have a cup of tea. So, oh, excuse me. Let's get rid of those things. Now let's borrow some stuff and put it into grid as well while I'm doing this. So I'm not going to want a grid scene, am I? My grid is just going to be a panel, pretty sure it's just going to inherit from panel, or even layer. Yeah, it's not going to be a layer because layers are kind of full screen. I think it's definitely just going to be a panel. This is going to be interesting, something new I haven't done yet. So let's call this grid. Am I going to call it grid or grid panel? Don't know yet. Maybe I don't even need to extend a panel because I'm using drawing route. I'm using draw nodes to draw the grid. Let's see. It adds the grid to a screen panel. Don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, let's continue and try and break it all and then fix it up again as we go. So, what I want to do is get rid of everything out of menu, so I've got a nice clean menu that doesn't do anything. Then I can bypass it completely from the splash screen sequence that I'm already bypassing anyway to go straight into the menu class. So we want my draw grid function. I'll at least put that in here.
That's all from your flash briefing.
Draw node and draw a triangle. Let's leave those in here now. Let's draw a block. Don't know where block's going to go yet. I'll put it in the grid class for now. So this is actually in my constructor. This is all going to be completely broken for a while. Let's just go with it. Screen panel, draw node. Let's get rid of that for now. Schedule update. I don't need that either at the moment. That's going to go into the game class in the constructor. Okay, schedule update. And let's ditch these for now as well. So, full screen callback, menu, blah blah blah. And I don't need all these things. Draw node. I will need a grid. Actually, no, I'm not even going there yet. I'm getting rid of these things. So it's just, I've got temp panel. Do I still use that? GMP panel. Oh, nope, that's not in there. So we've got menu. If I just jump in. No, on control is C, isn't it, for Chrome? There we go. Right, so it's still running okay. And it's just going straight into my menu, which is now nothing apart from where I was about 3 or 4 streams ago. So what I can do is bypass that from the splash. Is it splash? No, it's not splash. It's main, isn't it? Where it comes down here and goes into menu. Whereas what I want is now I just want to go into game scene. Yes. So I'm going to have to add this to my project, aren't I? So we've now got splash resource menu, so game. Yes. How many lines of code got now? Yeah, 650. I've removed a load, but I haven't saved those files yet, so it hasn't counted them. Right. So if we're going into game, we're going into here, aren't we? Moving around the thing. Game layer. Welcome Jackie Woods. Good to see you this afternoon. I've slightly tweaked my pop-up welcome thing so that it only shows about 3 seconds after somebody joins. What I discovered last week is... and somebody else as well. What I discovered last week was 1 or 2 people were joining the stream and then leaving straight away. I think they were just disappearing off somewhere else on livecoding.tv. And my pop-up welcome was coming in all the time, even though the people weren't in the stream. But now it's got a little bit of a delay, so you have to stay around for a couple of seconds to see your avatar pop up in the corner of the stream. And don't forget, if you follow me, you get some fireworks. And you can add a rating as well. No one's rated me yet. Much appreciated if you do. Right, back to what I was doing, breaking things. So we're in game, and I've got my constructor. and we're doing some game panel business. Yeah, game panel. So we'll add game panel. That's making a game panel. It's a bit of a colour. That's it. We've got some keyboard code and the update, but it's not actually going to do anything because it's using things that don't exist yet. Moving the draw node around the place, which isn't in here yet because I haven't put it back in. With any luck though, by saving that, oh, Paddy Lee, welcome. Let's see, we've got some things that are not defined, so it's probably going to have broken. Yeah, I'm going to need the old dev tools. Which is the key that does it. I thought I got that down, but I must have forgotten it. Game panel is not defined. Ah, okay, right. So we obviously created game panel. Well, is it whinging about that? Game, am I in great game? Game.js, game panel is not defined. Panel? Where did that come from? I must have typed it wrong. Game panel. Game panel. Let's see. So game panel. Let's do panel. Game panel. Am I game panel? I'm game layer. I'm creating a game panel to go inside, aren't I? Yes. Control save. There we are, now we've got something on the screen. Ah. Welcome Mush Po Po Po. Cool name. Right, a red rectangle. Doesn't look that much, but it is a game panel. And although we can't see anything happening, there's keyboard events going on. So now in my game panel, what I actually want is, I want to define that to be a bit different. I don't want it to be in the middle of the screen, I want it to be based at the bottom of the screen, and I want it to go as high as it needs to go. For the game panel.x, if we can't anchor panels off the center, so we have to anchor the height of the panel. I guess is going to be cc.size.height, and we want the y just going to be 0, isn't it? So right, that's the bottom of the screen, and it's as tall as the screen. And actually, the width isn't necessary. It doesn't have to be 240 times graphics scale factor or whatever. Now, what we want is base it off our block size, because I know what the block size is going to be, and that's 50 pixels. Now, I've got a choice here. I can either define things off a block size, or I can define the block size off the size of the game panel, one or the other. It's much of a muchness at the moment. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to define things off of block size, and actually then grid width can be dynamic as well. Although we define grid width as 14 because that's what it used to be in my old code, it doesn't need to be now. But I'll leave it in there, and that makes our game panel no longer a particular, just an arbitrary number. It can be block size times grid width, exactly, and that gets rid of things like that horrible border that I had to stick in before. So let's do block size times grid width. Grid size, what am I talking about? Grid width. So there we go, so now we've got that. And I can make that a bit bigger a bit later on if I want to. If I want to add more blocks wide. Okay, so that's our game panel. I'm not going to need this border anymore because we're going to get rid of that. Or if I do have any border, it's going to be independent of the game panel itself and the grid. It's whatever that gets included into will just implicitly absorb that. So we've got game panel height, grid height pixels. Yeah, some of these we won't need as well in the future. But so that's our game with a game panel. Now I want to stick a grid in the middle of the game panel. So what I want is a grid class now, and I don't want it to be a layer. I suppose it could be a panel. it's definitely going to be visible. It's definitely going to have logic which does things. So I guess it's definitely a panel subclass. Or it could incorporate a panel as part of its constructor or something like that to draw itself on. No, I'm going to make it a panel. I'm going to make it a panel. I think, is it CC dot? No, it's layers. See, these panels are color layers, but I don't want to make it a layer. I just want to make it something that draws. I just make it a node. For now, I'll make it a node. Right, so it's going to be cc.node, and it's going to have a constructor. And inside the constructor, we're going to have a draw grid function, and the constructor should probably accept the size of the grid, shouldn't it? Yes, the constructor should accept the size. So let's call it width and height. And we'll have, I suppose I could actually put down grid width, grid height, GID, HT, and once we're in grid, so I don't really need to prefix everything with grid underscore, do I? And then we've got draw grid, so these things are going to be width times, the width is block times block size, that's going to be, yeah, it's really difficult to remember or to make decisions on how all these things are going to be defined. So I drew it before using width times block size, and width would have been the number of cells, effectively the grid cells, or number of blocks times block size. I can probably, I mean, width we can work out blocks. I could call it blocks wide, couldn't I? That's a bit more of a meaningful variable name. Blocks wide times block size, that makes a bit more sense. So what we'll have is we'll have blocks wide up here. Block size, let's call it blocks. Well, we're going to have blocks high, but that's going to be changed in the future. So we'll end up with height. We don't have border anymore. X is going to be 0. We're not going to have, yes, so there was X and Y were positions of drawing the grid, but I think if I've still got it, I probably got rid of it already. That. My draw grid function, we just called it 0, 0, didn't it? Do I have it down here still? Draw block. But what draw grid is just going to be. Oh no, it does draw it at 0, 0. So actually, I can just basically get rid of these border functions, the border calculations. And now we want blocks high, don't we? Blocks height. Grid width, grid height. Now I'm going to call it blocks height. Okay, I'm going to get that up there. Block size. So we want blocks. Well, it's going to be 0. Grid width is blocks wide. I'm sure this is not going to work at all, it's just going to go horribly wrong. Draw, let's see, grid. Now this is relying on grid, and grid was a draw node that I created. Oh, I could extend draw node actually, rather than node. No, let's just stick with node for now. Have a draw node in there. Let's just grid equals new cc.draw node. So this is going to be just grid. That's going to draw a grid. Self.draw node. So this was where we were drawing the block that was moving around. So this is probably not going to be in here, or if it is, it's going to be another class that I'm going to include. So this is my constructor. There's no end to it yet, is there? So that's all it does. Self down in here everywhere. I'm not convinced this is the right thing to do yet, but we'll see. Blocks high, it's going to do blocks wide. Of course, I've got to work out block size, which is our constant, isn't it? I can just borrow that from here again. Not going to do much yet. If I'm lucky, what I want to do now is I'm going to do self.grid. So how do I do this? I mean, it's just grid, isn't it? It's just new grid. I think it's probably going to be aq.grid because I'm sticking everything in my namespace, aren't I? Game there. Oh yeah, that's an interesting point. My namespace, these aren't in a namespace, but these are. And this is a, yeah, we wrap the creation of the scenes. Okay. I'm going to have to start learning a bit more about Cocos2d-JS soon, and how it handles the JavaScript inheritance and objects and stuff. This is all probably going to break horribly. Excuse me. So the grid. If I just do that, and we kind of want grid. We want grid width, which is badly named, and height. Well, that's good. That's awkward. That's going to be h divided by block size, isn't it? And then game panel.add self.grid. Right, let's see if this works. It's going to be a miracle. So, uncaught error. Load grid. Oh, it's probably source/grid. Definitely. I didn't put it in the source folder. Let's remove for the moment. Delete. Remove from project. Bring up my terminal. Move grid to source. Selected. Oh, we didn't save it. Doing things too fast. Let's just see what happens. Add file. Source. Grid. Well, there's something in anyway. Okay. So, any luck. Is it reloading? Yes. Ooh, nice. Big error. What does that mean? Have I done this properly? Oh, of course it's AQ.grid for a start, isn't it? And I haven't closed off things correctly. Let's see where we are. No, does that not have an end? So that's my function. Usually control left and right bracket will match brackets for me. Why is it not doing it? Maybe it's Mac. No, that does something funky. Let's shift. Okay. Self.blocks equals high. There's that as a game to start with. Maybe this is telling me something. Grid is not defined, so there is that. So I could do AQ.grid. Let's see what's going on now. Okay, not a constructor. Unexpected token dot. Right. So, oh, of course it's var, isn't it? So I don't need var. Just do that, don't I? Right. Width is not defined. Now we're getting somewhere. I'm actually getting some errors that I can start to debug. So actually, that's just going to be wide and high. Game panel.add is not a function. Game panel.add. Add child, isn't it? Of course. And it's self.game. No, it's just game panel. Okay, so no crashings, but no grid yet either. So let's see what's going on. Are we actually getting into the grid constructor, and is it passing us anything useful? Yes, and it's wide and high. So let's work it out. I'll tell you what I want to do for a start is make sure that the blocks is a fixed number. So, do we have? Yeah, we've got blocks high, isn't it? Have we? I can just do. Yeah, we've got a grid height there. Block size, let's just do width and height. Okay. Reload. Oh, main is not defined. Main is math. So we're in here now. We've got we've got 700. What's going on there? It's grid width. That's width, isn't it? It's grid. It's actually just block grid width. Right. 14 by 22. That's it. That's our grid and the number of grid cells. Wide and high. So if I hit F10, is it going to do something funky? Oh no, it works, right. I should have done that before, but never mind. Block size, yeah, and then we've got draw grid. So we've got a CC draw node. We don't add the grid. We just draw the grid, then we need to actually add it to the node where we do self.add. Add child. Get that right? Self.add child grid. For now. And this is going to break again. Continue. Ooh, there's a bit of grid, some grid lines occurring. Right. Something going on. Okay. Did it actually crash or did it So we're drawing the horizontal, that's the draw grid. Is it? Actually, it might be because it's really small. What happens when you shrink things down so much is you don't get the proper... The scaling makes the lines disappear entirely. Okay, so we've got a node. So that's drawing the vertical lines, which is the second ones here, I believe. Incrementing the y and doing it from 0 to there, but it's not doing the horizontal lines. So it's doing it from x0 to x self.block. I put a typo there, and block size. There they are. Right, so there's my grid, and it's stuck at the bottom of the screen, and it goes off the top because it's now, we did the math.ceil, so it's got as many grid cells in it as it needs to. Actually, we're going to end up with a much bigger array inside this grid that stores the entire game area, but then I'm going to do a virtual camera, probably a few weeks' time, that moves up and down. So the grid itself will only ever draw a set of blocks on the screen, but it will have to shift its data up or down based on where the camera is, because obviously when the camera moves up, the blocks at the bottom will fall off the bottom. But I don't need to necessarily render those, I just, when they're off, they get clipped. Right. It's not transparent. I don't know if that's a thing that you have with nodes. I'm not sure about this, how to define them as well, with block sizes and what have you. Well, at least there's something back on the screen now. Actually, if I go into node, it can probably tell me all the various things it inherits. Like, there's probably opacity, that's the thing. Default 255, if I put opacity 0, although actually then it will probably draw the red line, the white lines. Transparent. I'm not doing a background, so where's my... I wonder where my... So the grid is... Put the grid on top. Let's call that 0. I'll call that 2. It's still drawing that. You see a little bit red at the bottom there. I wonder why it's not. Let's just get rid of it for a second. Okay, so I'm not even putting the grid on at all now, and so it's just my game panel, which is red. What am I missing? Oh, something going wrong there. Something crashing. Yeah, it was Windows Alt-I to bring it up hotkey. No crashy errors. Oh well, I'm kind of confused now. Let's not worry too much about it. So I've got the grid, got my game class. Let's put the block back in. For now, do I want to put it in the grid or do I want to put it in the game class? I'll put it in the grid for now because essentially what I'm doing is just drawing a block in a particular grid cell. So let's just do another draw node. Let's call it block node. No, actually what it is. Doesn't matter. Draw node. And we want draw triangle, a bunch of them, so draw block, X and Y. And what we do is we draw block border 0, 0. Now this is, the other week when I was doing this, I had some weird interaction with trying to draw a block and move it or animate it using the Cocos2d-JS node animation routines, and I was doing things like try and animate the X coordinate and it would go up and down, and try and animate the Y coordinate and it would go left and right. I'm not quite sure what I ended up doing. I even watched my stream back and tried to figure it out, but I couldn't. What I ended up just thinking that is probably I had these various bits of X and Y and block size and things wrong, and what happened was I was drawing things that weren't at 0, 0, so there were funny offsets, but quite how that explained the incorrect movement I have no idea. But if I stick a block at 0, 0 and got the draw node as the thing I'm doing. I still have to draw node. Oh no, I need this above here, don't I? But I need to add it to self.addChild, self.draw node, and we'll put it above the grid. That was 2, 3, 4. Now let's see if that works. I need to add the back. There it is. It's drawn down there now. Alright. Not going to move it, is it? No, didn't think so. That comes next. So, game has got our keyboard controls, and it's also maintaining the position for the block. It should really delegate that to the grid, but for now I will just call a set block function on the grid. Set block position x, y. I'll do this function, isn't it? And we just want to do self dot draw node. I could call that draw block or something else. For now, it's called draw node. Set and I want x times. Now we haven't stored block size anywhere in particular. I could just do this. Ah, hello, Nick ZZ242. Good to see you. Disappeared again. They were coming and going pretty quick. Right. So if I do that, and then up in here, I just call self. Oh, I need to get position. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the backside. Going to store block x and block y in there for now. Bx self.bx 0, self.by equals 0. Draw this at bx by bx. Actually, no, that's always going to be 0, 0. It's just going to be the draw node gets positioned there, and it'll start at 0, 0 by default, so I won't do that. But I just do self.bx equals x, self.by equals y. And then we want get block position. P self.bx self.by, that should give us a point with bx and by. And now I can do p equals self.grid get block position, correcting it, self.grid set block position. It's not drawing anyway yet. Why not? I did schedule update. I added the listener for the keys. The grid isn't even drawing it at 0, 0 at the moment, is it? have a look at the debug and see what it's doing. No, depending on where you click, it doesn't like bring up the developer tools in Chrome. Must be the keys are being grabbed by something, probably the canvas. I don't want security, what sources. So let's get down here. Draw block. Definitely get that point, that far, which is fine. Let's see if nothing happens down here yet, does it? It does. Why is it getting called from there? Oh, it's being updated. Oh, I'm passing it a P position rather than X and a Y. Of course. Complete idiot. I suppose I can actually just do this, can't I? Pause. There we go. Now if I click on it, no, it's not moving it. Let's check the... Yeah, that worked. X is not defined. CC.P? Of course it's not. BY, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, not moving. Let's just see if we get a... Hey, welcome, Aiden0328. So we're coming in here. It's just setting it to 0, 0 every time, isn't it? See why. It's always going to be 0, 0. If I try moving it, break again, still 0, 0. Probably because somewhere in grid, sorry, somewhere in game, we're not updating the self.dx. Yeah, what am I doing here? Self.dx and dy, p.x and y. So I'm getting the position, changing it by dx and dy, which are whatever my key press is, and I'm setting it, set block position, but also inside here, I'm remembering the positions and then setting it to it. It's always 0. Why is it not recognising my key press thing? Let's just bung something out in here. So if I hold the key down, it does get tweaked, but of course it's giving it in pixels. So I guess I don't want to do that, because that's why it's disappearing completely. Do I want it in pixels? I guess I don't, do I? I can just do plus, I'll just do 1 here. 1 minus 1. Ah, a couple of new people arriving. Oh. Let's try that instead. Oh, it's almost moving, but it's jumping back to 0 again. You probably can't see that due to the frame rate of the stream, but I can see it as I hit the key. It flashes on the next block. Why is that doing that? to worry about that. It's this is the important one. This is it's not incrementing it. What am I missing? Why is it not incrementing it? I suppose it should. What? Oh, let's see what am I doing. Get block position. I can't see what I'm doing here. I've had a busy day today. Got up a bit early as well. So by this time of the afternoon, I'm getting a bit tired. But let's pos.x, pos.y. So I'm actually setting the value in there, and then I'm returning it down here. Get block position. So it shouldn't make much of a difference, but I wonder what's happening in get position. Yeah, it's always come up 0. Let's maybe tweak it. So I have a move block by. This is going to be a bit sneaky. We'll call it x and y because I'm not worrying about positions anywhere. And self.bx plus equals x, self.by plus equals y, and then we draw it, self.bx to by. We don't even need to get position then. All we need to do in here is call self.grid.move block by dx and dy. That's not going to do anything. Right, let's see what that does. Yeah, that moves it. I couldn't see what I was doing wrong before, but this works. So, sometimes you just have to go up with what works. So now we're back to moving around blocks again. Right, so we're back to almost the same place we were at the start, but I've refactored a few things. So I have a moving block in my grid class, which is probably something I don't want ultimately, so I might actually, do I want to create a moving block class, or do I want to move the block around inside the game? But I'm going to need to draw it based on the grid. No, I'm not going to need to draw it based on the grid position. The block itself is actually going to be drawn based on the. It's just going to move down the screen independently of the grid completely. There will be blocks in the grid once one is settled. So let's actually shift this. Let's see if I can create a draw block function and put it somewhere that's going to be common, because I'm going to need a draw block in several places in the code, aren't I? I suppose I need a block class. If I have a block class, then I can create blocks and tell them to be drawn at actual pixel positions. I can work the pixel positions out based on the grid when I need to, or based on dropping down the screen pixel positions. That'll probably be better. So let's make a block class as well. See if I can get it right this time and put the new file in the right folder. So block.js. Do I have to do this every time? No, it's got a source folder there now. Yeah, okay, right. So just like grid, block is going to be a node. And it could be a draw node, but again, I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Block. And I'm going to want pixel position x and y, I suppose, aren't we? Oh, actually, the node has an X and Y, doesn't it? I don't need to. This is block position in the grid, but a node already has an X and Y position, so I shouldn't need to worry about that. All I want to do is have a draw method, which basically uses the draw node functions to draw it in the right place as a set of triangles. So self.draw node, draw triangle, draw block. What I shall do is extend the draw block method to draw different types of blocks. So the different, make sure the draw block is the different shaped blocks and things based on the different triangles. Let's make the constructor first. Right, don't need that. Oh, don't need that. We could have a block type. Put that there. Probably won't use it today, but we'll use that for later. And now we've got our draw triangle and our draw block. So, put them in for a minute. Make the public functions when I need to. So this is the draw triangle method. Self.draw node. Yes. So this is the method we're going to use for drawing blocks. It's a draw node. At the moment it's just this. We draw it at, I suppose, self.x and self.y because that's the position. We may have to override the set and get anchor calls at some point. Self.add child, self.draw node. Yeah, if I overrode draw node, then I wouldn't need to do this. I could just use the sort of, I wouldn't need a separate draw node within inside the block, but I'll leave it like this for now. Shouldn't need that because we're in a hierarchy. So that's basically when I create a block. At the moment, that's just going to create a square block, but well, should I return things from the constructor? No, probably not. I didn't in draw node. Sorry, I didn't in grid. Oh, that's because it's grid in the constructor of the grid. I didn't return anything. So we just let's do the same thing again. Oh, hello. Somebody's face pops up on the screen and I get completely distracted. Where was I going? I was putting my block, and I kind of want a block in the game class, don't I? I don't want it in grid, I want it in game. So let's have we've got block, we just want the blocks. Let's just call it block for now. Let's draw it here. Self.block equals new aq.block. We don't care about the type for the minute. We're going to add it to the game panel. Game panel.add. Let's see what that does. And this is called in the grid. What we actually want to do is move the block ourselves again now. So I need to sort of go back to the code as it was, moving it by pixels. Self.block size. Actually, that. Hello, E3HAN. Move, and I want it's just going to be my own move block by function. Let's get rid of this out of the grid. And what it's going to do is move block. It's just going to do self.block.setPosition So this is maintaining the block position. We just want to do. We don't need to maintain that anymore. Now I should be able to do rp equals self dot block dot get position p dot x equals x p dot y equals y self dot block set position p. I wonder if this will work, because this is basically going back to what was I coded earlier. It didn't work. We don't care. We don't have a draw node in the grid anymore because we're not drawing individual blocks. We don't need bx and by in the grid. That's basically it. There's the grid is a draw node. We're drawing the grid. The block is very similar. Again, it's a draw node. We add it, but we're adding. What we actually want to do is we want to draw at 0, 0, and the position gets changed as we move the block around in the game class by doing that. So the position of the node changes, but the position of the geometry we're drawing that makes the block up, which is in here, doesn't change. That's always based off 0. Okay, anyway, let's see what happened. It crashed, unsurprisingly. A block is not a constructor. Okay. What did I miss? Node.extend. Constructor function type. That's definitely matched to that one. What's the difference between that and grid then? cc.node.extend. Yeah. There's something else I missed. So how come? I know. I've not included block in my project yet. Yeah, it doesn't exist. Does that need a refresh? Yeah, live reader doesn't handle that particular file. Okay, so block size is not defined. That's better. Now we've got something I can look at. So let's go back to block size again. I mean, this is a constant, but we tend to define it into a slightly smaller, shorter named variable in the different places up here, don't we? Gamepad. Oh, and I've done add, not add a child. Game. So we're back again. And with any luck, yes, if I move it around. So now the actual block coordinates are maintained by the game class. They're independent of the grid completely. Now I could have multiple blocks if I stick another one somewhere. Just for a bit of fun. So let's add a block. That adds a block there. Let's do file b2 equals new make block. And then b2.set position. So we're not actually constrained to the grid coordinates now. So we could stick one at the top of the middle of the screen and use game panel. It's game panel.width, which is what's game panel width? W. So W by 2 and height, which is H. That's going to be right at the top, isn't it? Times block size. Is W pixels, or yeah, W is pixels, but H is blocks high. Confusing. Block size. And then child 2. So now we've got one that's disappeared completely. I'm probably putting it in the wrong place. Width W divided by 2. H times block size. I was expecting to see it in the middle of the top of the screen. size, if I put one at, get rid of that one. No, let's leave that one there. Set position, width times, I didn't override set position, did I? Nope. Game. W is definitely Mathos, so we create a there with width and height. H is, what's going on here? Win size dot height divided by block size. How is this game panel? Ah, that's why the game panel is now tiny. Of course, H is no longer pixels. It's simply the number of blocks high. What do I even need that for? I don't anymore. Can't I go back to? So I create the grid width. So we work out. I need to make sure I name these things correctly. So grid width is grid cells wide, actually, isn't it? So block size, grid cells wide. So the width of the block size times grid. Block cells wide, block cells, block size, blocks wide, blocks wide. Block size times blocks wide is pixels, and then the pixels on the height is simply the height of the screen. So that's our panel that we're going to draw, and then we want to make a grid, which is, we don't really care about grid pixels anymore, that's not used anywhere, is it? Not at the moment, no. Grid height is actually blocks high in our case, so blocks high, and we actually want it to be enough to fill the entire screen. And it's going to be H divided by block size. I don't care about the grid middle for a minute. So that creates our grid, which was, the grid constructor was actually in width and height blocks, so we want blocks wide and blocks high. And then W and H are our pixel size of the game panel, which should give us actually height minus block size. That should be middle top. Right. It is. There it is at middle top. Phew. Got something right. Yes, it's exactly middle top. Okay, that's useful. Right, and I can move it down the screen if I want to. In fact, we don't need that. What I do want is to position the starting block at that place. So game panel dot, where are we? Self dot block dot. Trying to organise a game of Gears of War tonight with some friends, and my friend Paul can't do it. I thought I had notifications on the thing that stops them coming in. What is it? Yeah, where's the little button gone that says do not disturb? I don't know. Must have had an update. So, where was I? Set position. And actually, we want it at height because we want it off screen, or almost off screen to start with, anyway. That anymore. So now, there's our block. You can just about see the line of it coming down. Now we want to move it down the screen. So we actually have an update function where we want to move the block. So we're moving the block at the moment left, up and down, left and right, which I can do that. Yes, it's moving down. But of course it's slightly offset because it starts at the actual top of the screen, not the block. Oh, now I'm going to get a load of notifications. How do I turn off notifications? Do not disturb. No, options. Well, we can all just read my friend's text messages. It can be pretty funny sometimes. Let's see. We don't actually want to move it up and down, so I can get rid of the up and down. Well, we'll eventually want down, and we'll want up to rotate blocks around, and down to drop them, but for now we don't want to. So we can get rid of that, and we want the down, and this is pixel, isn't it? Yeah. So we just want to move, I mean, at the moment I'm going to assume it's going to run at 60 frames a second, so we can simply just do a delta y is going to be block size, how fast do we want it to go? 1 block per second, I suppose. Just divided by 60. Is this going to work with it, floating point arithmetic? I think it probably will. And we just move it down by dy. And it's got to be negative, of course, because we're going down the screen. There it goes, it's moving down. Can I still move it left and right? Yes, I can move it left and right. Yeah. We're almost playing Tetris here. I can't drop it down to the bottom yet. Although actually I could do it if I added in the down key. Hello, Artanzo, is that how you spell your name? Oh, Artanizo. It's very difficult reading people's handles and names. It's going to drop to the bottom of the screen now. There it goes. Right. Let's maybe do something to make it at least half sensible. If you press this down, self.dy will work out where to drop it to the bottom of the screen. So let's do a. Also, we can do an update. I suppose we can just do if dy is actually the delta position. So if p equals self dot block dot get position. I want to do this again, don't we? I suppose I could just do in here if p dot y is less than 0, p dot y equals 0. That's the quickest way to just. I just want to get it stopping to not drop off the bottom of the screen. That's the quickest way to do that for the minute. And we wanted to make it drop to the bottom of the screen if we press the up key. So I could just drop it straight to the bottom, but let's have a block is dropping fast drop. I guess we can just have it as it's just going to be one off for now. False, and we want F key down. Fast drop equal true, and else, so if key's not held down, so you need to hold the key down to get it to the bottom of the screen. You don't want it to instantly drop. Self dot fast drop is false, and if I suppose we can do it quickly. A key divided by 60. Self dot fast drop question mark. Let's see, we want like maybe 2 or 3 blocks a second, so let's do block size divided by 60. I know what we do. We can just do this here. If self dot fast drop, we can just do dy times equal 3, and that should multiply it by 3 to make it go faster. I've got to click on the screen every time I do that. Oh, it's almost working. But it's because it's not. It's because it's the key repeat is cycling. So what I actually need to do is handle this in key pressed and key released, don't I? Because I don't know, key pressed should be continually held down. Maybe it's just fast drop's not very fast. If that's going to be 1 block every second, and I multiply it by 3, it should be 1 block every 3. Oh, is it? No, 3 blocks every second. Let's just multiply by 10. Let's see, go nice and quick. Yeah, there we go. But it's definitely using the key repeat. And there it is on the bottom. Excellent. Is it using the key repeat? Let's just console.log fast drop be difficult to see this probably because the refresh rate is too slow on the stream, but self. Time is it? 3:15. I'm going to stop soon. At least I've got a slight bit of refactoring going on. And a block dropping down the screen. So yeah, it's still true and false. It's still dropping to false, so it's obviously the key repeat is causing the key up to occur when you hold it down. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. If I console log when the key released occurs, let's just see what that looks like. Oh, I'm still going to do that. Ah, there we go. Oh, I pressed it twice. Key released. Yeah, it's lots of key released events occurring when I'm not actually letting go of the key. I'm going to have to look into what that's doing, because obviously I need actual key released and key pressed events to be real ones, not the key repeat going on there. Let's see if I can't... Ah! I know what it is, of course. I'm clearing the keys after every update. Of course I do it. Actually, I only want to do that if I'm moving left and right, because if I'm rubbing it down, I just want to leave it. So if dx is 1, so if we press left or right, we want to clear it after we've worked out dx. That's what we want to do. Right. Now it's going down nice and fast. And with any luck I can still move it left and right. Yep, move it left and right, and I can move it left and right while going fast. Ah, that's interesting. Of course, clearing the keys, calling clear keys, just clears all the keys. So I don't want to do that. I want to just clear the left or right key, don't I? So left or right false. So with any luck, now I can yes. So I'm holding the down arrow, but I can still press left or right, and then let go. Excellent. Make that even faster. I think that's a bit slow. No, it's in game. 20. Let's see. There must be a way of me being able to use my hotkey to switch to Chrome, but have it automatically focus on the console. Sorry, the canvas. Because what's happening is I'm hitting my hotkey, which is Alt-C, to flip from Slick Edit to Chrome, and then when I press the keys, nothing happens. I actually have to click on the Chrome canvas in order to get the key handling to occur. Yeah, that's better. I wonder if I can do something about that. There must be a way of doing something about it. Somebody news joined. Hi. Pretty near the end of the stream now, actually. I'm going to finish soon. But I at least have a block dropping down the screen. And I've got a grid separately from the block dropping that I can... What I'm going to do next week is, as the block moves around, I can work out which cell in the grid it corresponds to. And that'll constantly move. But when it block drops like that and hits the bottom, it can be embedded into that particular cell and then drawn independently, so the next block can come down. Similarly, I can also work out if there's a block that it'll land on, and that way it can land on the bottom, or land on the stack, and I can build up a stack. That'll be pretty straightforward. What I'll do then after that is I'll actually work on different shapes of block using additional triangles to draw in different places, and a whole bunch of other stuff going forwards. But it's been quite an interesting day today. What I think I might do, I said I wasn't going to do any code off stream. I was going to code it, but it's quite boring if I'm just refactoring stuff. I'm not too happy with some of the naming and terminology I've used. Things like block size, there's a lot of it in here, isn't there? Blocks wide and blocks high and things like that. I'm going to have a little bit of to think about what I want those to be. And if I redo that, I'll check the code into GitHub, of course, and then next time I'll just briefly go over what I did, because I think that's probably a bit too boring to stick on a stream, especially since I'm only doing this once a week. I will commit this code to GitHub straight away after the stream. In fact, I might do it now because I'm in a place where it's at least working and not crashing. Let's do that. Get off Smart Git, here it comes. So what do? We added a couple of new. I haven't been looking at these text messages. I hope they're not being too rude. They can be pretty blue sometimes. You should hear us when we're playing Gears of War. Although actually we're probably a bunch of old men playing Gears of War, and women actually, we're pretty tame compared to kids these days, I'm sure. So we got new block, we added game, and we added grid, and then we modified main to go straight into my game. So we're bypassing the menu now, which we refactored and got rid of most of the stuff out of it. Yeah, the things should be, yeah, there they go, they're all disappearing. All these bits are red. And we go straight into block. Okay, so we go straight into game. At some point we'll make a menu that actually goes through and then into game. I'm going to run the lines of code I've got by now. Ooh, 744. By the way, if anybody wants to rate me, you can get some fireworks on the screen and your name. If you follow me as well, you'll also get the fireworks on the screen. Oh, there's nobody left now. It's just Newton one. But thanks for hanging around for the entire time, by the way. Oh, and you've asked some questions as well. I didn't even see that. Puzzle game, where do I get the sprites from? Well, I'm actually remaking an old puzzle game I made many years ago. And I've got the original graphics, although they're really small. So I've been scaling them up. But I have an artist friend who did the original graphics 10 years ago now. He's agreed to help me rescale them if I need to. So at some point, I think we saw a little Gumbler sprite earlier on. I'll have some actual graphics to go into the game. If you look on the Live Coding TV page, you'll see a little animated GIF of what the original game looked like. While I'm here, I'm going to rate myself at 50% because nobody gave me a rating. I should know the commands that I wrote for my own bot. There it is, 50%. Anybody else wants to give me a rating, it'll aggregate the answer, the results. Anyway, I'm going to commit this. Block. Down the screen. Independently of grid. Refactored. Menu into block. The game block. And grid objects. Alright, that's me done for the week. Thank you very much for watching, much appreciated. Thanks Newton One especially because you've been here the whole hour and 20 minutes or however long I've been watching, been streaming for. We'll catch you again next week, if not before. I would like to do more streams, but I'm pretty busy with work at the moment. Let's get up the old Live Coding TV and switch back to my intro scene, and see you soon. Cheers everybody.